Hello and welcome to TowerClimb. I am Tobash. This is a game that is a roguelite platformer by Davioware and Quazi. The timer starts when we first move. That's what the community has decided. The most important mechanics to keep in mind for this game are running, jumping, and climbing. That's really the biggest one. Most of the stuff can speak for itself, and so I'm gonna let it. I can pick up items, and one thing that I want to make sure to get in this level are some boxes and explosives. We can do something else called an item hop, which is where you throw an item down and then the item will propel you up into the air. These are little balloons that we can fly on. They pretty much standardize a amount of time a level will take, and that'll be generally around 30 seconds, which is about how long I want to make a level take in this all throughout. Now generally climbing is the slowest form of movement unless you get some things to boost that, and there are gloves, different things that will passively boost that, such as gloves. There are also things that can boost your movement speed horizontally. This here is a Path of Exiles. It's a shortcut. You can only get it in the first 3 areas of the game, so it'll skip the 3 levels of each area. Each area has 3 levels, by the way, and they're generally faster but harder than the levels you would normally go through. I want these spikes because they can help me get an item that'll make my climbing much faster. I'm gonna be a little greedy a little more greedy for resources than I usually am. This is probably the worst of the areas. This is a Conservatory. It's filled with plants and various other obstacles. I'm hoping I can skip it usually, but if I don't, we can work with it. It's not like a run ender or anything like that. And we didn't get to skip it. So the biggest danger from the Conservatory from a speedrun standpoint is something that can happen at the end of the level called gas. It makes you have to down climb for about 20 seconds and costs just a whole lot of time. And if I'm not mistaken, I do have that in this level. There's a way to not lose too much time to it. If I'm being safe, I wouldn't do the method because it involves taking a death. But we'll see if I really need to. The water will prevent that and make the gas end a bit early, which will be nice. So now it's not worth taking the death to jump to the door. Oof. Well, there's my first death. Now, you can die in this game, and it's not too much of a deal breaker. I'm going to play it safe here and grab a revive and some jumps. I'm going to save 1 golden berry for a crafter. There we go. I'm hoping to run into a crafter in the game to craft a spear. And that spear can be used for many, many, many different purposes. And you'll be able to see many of them momentarily because this is the crafter. I can craft a spear. The most important thing it can do is called spear climbing. And it allows you to throw a spear into a wall only on one particular side and climb much faster than normal. And it's faster than most different types of climbing. There's also a skill called mega jumping. And that allows you to get no, that's bad. That allows you to get a running jump speed with a tall jump speed. So there are 2 different jumps you can do. One is a running jump, which gives you less height, but gives you more horizontal movement speed. That's Zardo. He's a wizard that kind of steals your tries to steal your items. If he hit me, he would steal them. I'm doing my best to not let him hit me. That purple aura you see on me once in a while, it's something that allows you to jump again in the air. And there's a potion that you can use to be able to use that at will, but you have to actually have the potions, and they cost golden berries, which are primarily what I'm collecting golden berries for, to get jumps to speed up the game. That's a seed. I actually want to do a thing. It wasn't successful. There's a glitch item that you can spawn with double C's, but it's hard to do and not even remotely guaranteed. Not necessary for a run, but just a fun little thing to try for anyway. Now, I've done a few things with the spear. The primary thing about the spear climbing is that you can grab it as you jump off of it. So you can do a jump and take the spear with you when you jump, but only on the left side of walls, not on the other side. That's good. I actually want that spring box for much later in the game. That box that's also in my inventory is going to come into play much later, but not yet. I'm going to use it for a trick called zipping. And what that's going to do for me is, well, it's a tough trick. I can pull it off semi-consistently, but thankfully the area where I have to pull it off isn't dangerous and pretty safe to do it. I'm on a pretty good pace here. I anticipate that a run overall shouldn't take too much time. Oh, I want those boots. They allow me to run faster. And that's good in particular sections of the game. Let's see here. Grab this. Now, this level's primarily just a nice relaxing thing to do before you get to the first boss of the game here, which is Christelle. Now, this is less of a boss battle and more of a survive waves of enemies until the boss is finished with you. She spawns in enemies. They're really no big deal, and if you even vaguely know what you're doing, this isn't a bad fight at all. This also would be a great time just for reading submissions, or not submissions, donations. It's not too much happening here. It's all pretty self-explanatory. She even tells you what to do. If you don't do what she says, she'll kill you right off the bat, and that's not a fun thing necessarily. It's probably gonna be a 12.5 minute chapter 1, which is actually a pretty decent time. And I'm pretty decent on resources too, so this can work out. Yeah. Usually I want somewhere around 10 jumps and some golden berries by the end of chapter 1. I'm right around there, which is really solid. And this signifies the end of the first chapter of the game. If I fall in this lava, by the way, it's game over. This game does give you 2 revives, but if you fall into lava or something similar, it does permanently end your run, and it's a game over, which generally I'm pretty good at avoiding. And coming up is the first major exploit of the game, called a zip. I did mention it briefly earlier. I'm going to use a balloon right here. I'm going to jump on it 3 times, and oh, canceled the zip. That's interesting. Let's see a direction. And that's the end of chapter 1. It's a pretty easy trick. There aren't a lot of good places to safely use the trick, but that is one place where we can. Now it's just basically the big stock up room. That's where I'm gonna get most of my resources. And this is where the game really ramps up. No. There we go. This is very much a puzzle game in many ways. And kind of hope to show you why here. That's a little bit of spaghetti there. You really gotta think with what you can do in the game. A lot of it is very intense. A lot of this I would want to couch there to help explain what's going on. A lot of these things are basically kill you. The only thing that's really safe here are those yellow pads. And that's some gloves, which are really nice. They help me to climb faster. We're going to go into something unusual for the game here, where you fall a lot. It's the only place in the game where you really go down, which is a nice little departure from the rest of it. I wish there were more levels like this. As you can imagine, these lasers will kill me, but they work on a cycle. can work around that cycle pretty easily, as long as I feel the rhythm out. And I've done that already. Oops. That creates a little explosive. It's not really too bad a thing. I want these. These are adhesion berries. These are the first really cool item of the game. They're complicated, but basically you can use them to make yourself go up really, really fast. Seg plant down. As you can see, we're already well behind our record time. I am, by the way, the world record holder in this game. Oh, I should have known that would happen. That's okay. This is one of the more dangerous areas of the game. We're gonna play things a little safe here. And this place is mostly dangerous because of if you saw them briefly there, but there's a little bug there. We call them Beebles. Their real names are Hunters, but we as a community call them Beebles. Interesting. They're really dangerous. They track you horizontally and try to murder you as best as they can. I hope to make their jobs relatively difficult in that regard. I'm gonna take this. It's an invulnerable. Gives me some brief vulnerability, which, as you imagine, might be useful. Let's see, okay. And we're almost through the Volt Caves. It's a very dangerous area. We've navigated it very beautifully. To toot my own horn. And there's some glows that we are not going to pass up. I will get rid of you for that. Oh, I don't have to get rid of anything. Another big part of this game is inventory management. You just have to know what the most important items to have are and plan accordingly. Alright, we have gotten a lot of resources here. We're really, really, really good on jumps, which is exactly what I was hoping for. And as you can see, my climbing speed is now faster, which will make the rest of the game much easier and faster to go through as a consequence. That's the Volt Caves, and now we're going to do a second zip, this time with a box. And that was actually a pretty darn quick and good. Where am I? Oh, I didn't go down like I thought I did. I used to use the teleport there to go straight to the door, but looks like I messed up. It's not too big a deal. And now we get to a section of running on wheels. This is something I was supposed to do in the last screen, but we skipped the whole wheel section instead. This section's more mandatory unless you want to take a shortcut, which is severely more dangerous and run-ending, and I'm not about that. It's not about wasting that many jumps like that. But we have plenty to spare, so it's not too big a deal. So the trick that got me through the last section is called a box zip. As I mentioned earlier, you basically use the box to displace you, and as a consequence, the game gets a little confused and decides that you should just be shooting straight up into the air rather than whatever else you could be doing. Another glove. This game must love me right now. would go back for the crafter, but it's largely unnecessary, and I don't need to really use the witch there because I'm good on resources. I'm gonna hope I run into another crafter so I can combine my gloves into better forms, but it's not entirely necessary. Alright, I'm gonna hope. I was hoping that I could see the wheel break so I could skip sections of the wheel, because I do need to get this wheel to the end of the section so I can hit a switch and open a door. If I do fall into this lava, it's a game over, and as you can see, the wheel didn't break, so I have to run this one wheel all the way to the end. Zardoland is probably the longest section of the game. There's a lot of things going on here, and I'm not going to take the time to explain too much of it. Let's see what I can get from this seed. Oh. Well, that was a little lucky. I got a little unlucky with a few things, but... what can I get rid of for this? The more gloves I have, the better, to put it simply. When I use these balls, they can throw me into the air a fair bit. Now I'm back good on resources. There we go. We're getting really lucky with glove drops. Usually I don't get this lucky, but sometimes you're just good at luck. I have to, in this particular section, I need to get the wheel to 4 different switches. It's not too much other than that. These chain sections can auto-complete them, which is really what I'm hoping for, but hey, that's luck. I don't need that. I'm about to use up this spring box, which is part of why I'm willing to get rid of it. I'm not going to use it right here in this area, but the next area upcoming. I know where all the cans are in this area, so I'm usually pretty good with it. Now there's a Z-ball or a basketball section in that area I just went through, but we're not doing that unless there's like, it could be a good donation incentive, and it's really fun to watch and cool. You basically get dunked on. It's really kind of neat. At this point, my climbing speed is such that it's faster than normal movement. That was really bad. Luck. I also, usually there's a ledge that you grab when you hit the top of a platform. Oof, I wish I'd grabbed that jump, or adrenaline. If you hold down and up at the same time, you don't get that ledge, which leads to you popping off ledges sometimes, which is, you'll start to see me do a little more as a consequence of having, I'm gonna take that death. That teleport will speed things up just a little bit. And that's just a poorer section. I'm going to teleport through that too. And that's all my teleports. This is really the area that I get teleports for. This is another place where there's a lot going on, by the way. Just imagine that everything kills you, and you're pretty much on track. Okay, I can work with this. In these areas, I have to gather 3 coins to get through, which is why I'm actually taking the time to, well, collect these coins. They allow me to get past the bouncer. Now we're into the temple. Let's Club Z down. And we're most of the way through this game already. We're actually at a pretty good pace, too. That's a good Lucky Witch. Get teleports. Don't want to get... I think we're good from there. Just 2 teleports should do us. The spear is going to come in handy here. I'm going to take this place a little safer than I usually do, just for safety. It's not too bad. These eyeballs will chase you, but they're actually really easy to manipulate. This is actually where most of the jumps of the run go. I wanted the adrenaline there. It allows you to climb a little faster. Which is always useful. In this area, we just have to climb the middle for the most part. I'm gonna detour for these jumps here, and golden berries, so I can have some money. I think... yeah, I don't need that. I mostly just go for all the treasure chests in case I'm gonna get some gloves. Man, that's it. Temple down. We can just bounce off these things. There have been a lot of good times just for reading donations during this area particularly is one of them. It's really exciting, but a lot going on. This is basically just, think of it like the Zen's Fortress from Dark Souls. A lot of traps, a lot of lava, a lot of things trying to kill you. If you're good, you can go fast through it. I'm good, so I can. This way. I don't need to get too many golden berries at this point, so I'm not gonna really go out of my way for them. It's also a place where focus is very important. Oops. I'm gonna grab that one anyway, just because I didn't lose any time taking it. Oh. Alright. I'm gonna take a death there. I could have teleported. So, for safety, I'm gonna seek out a witch real quick. Well, it's not necessary. And we're almost too good on jumps here. Now we have encountered the final boss of the game. And we have no revives, but it's not a big deal. I've done him enough that he's easy and I don't even need to think about what I'm doing. I don't need the spear anymore. So I know I can dump the spear, and we're going to be using the sword throughout the whole thing. In fact, I'm going to dump the spear. This is a long fight with great music, but it's also a really great time just for donation reading. Because, well, there's not a lot of explaining to do. It kind of explains itself. I just have to hit these balls back and forth with Zardo at the end of particular phases. And that's about it. And we're on a good pace here. This should be about 40 minutes or so. Actually, a little less. This will be sub 40. There's a lot of repetition in these two, so like I said, there's not too much to really talk about. Oh, I can do a teleport trick. It's a little trick I can do with this fight with teleports. That'll be, well, fun. While you're teleporting, you can still hit jump and swing the sword. By the way, to swing the sword, you hit jump. You just hold it throughout. So, I can swing the sword while in a teleport state, which I use to get pretty much in Zardo's face and hit the ball back and forth really, really quickly. This game has evolved a lot in a fair amount in the past year. So the last time I actually ran any percent, the game has changed significantly. I've mostly gone to running the Legend Fragment category, which is a much harder category and evolves significantly more than the any percent. And it even encapsulates the any percent category, so running Legend Fragments makes me good for this category too. Really catchy music, very, very hype music. This is some of the best music in the game, possibly in the world. And here I'll get to display that teleport strategy. Oh, I was slightly early. No big deal. That costs you like half a second if you're early. There's a lot of gloves I have here. Not normal. Not necessarily like difficult without gloves. Gloves definitely make the game easier, but still quite manageable even if I don't get any sort of resources from the game, which it does sometimes. This is our cannon phase, very reminiscent of Donkey Kong Country. If you haven't noticed, this fight is it draws a lot of inspiration from some big games, such as Legend of Zelda with the tennis portion of the fights, and Donkey Kong Country with the cannons here. And more Legend of Zelda with the bongo bongo hand slaps that I did earlier. At times up indicates that he's about to shift. And we just go in the opposite direction, but he doesn't give an indication of when he's stopping this time. I might want to shift one of those cannons. There we go. That's a little more comfy. Hey, that one too. Yeah, that's a little better. And stop. Now he just starts coming down, and yeah, he'll try and laser us, but we're too good for that. And smushes you between this insta-kill lava and his hands, but we have no reason to sweat. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then we're gonna basically rehash the whole other waves, starting with hand smacks. Ordinarily, you'd want to go to the opposite sides of the hands, unlike what I'm doing here. So I would be on the opposite side, crossing the hands. But I think it's slightly faster to have them slap on the same side, so I have them do that. By the way, if you do mess up the tennis phases of this fight, you have to do the whole phase all over again, which is long and torturous. If I were to fail at the end of this and live, it's basically another 7 minutes added on to the run, which is very much a run killer. You're guaranteed to not get a new record if you fail it. So it's in your best interest to not mess up on these sections. By the way, there are 46 floors total in this fight, in this tower, in an 8% run. We're almost to the end of this phase, by the way. Including the credit climb, which comes after this fight. That includes the transition between levels that we've done. And I remember how to do the teleport strat. It's nice and easy. You do 4 hits and then teleport. Don't even have to use the jump. 1, 2, 3. Almost messed up, but I didn't, so we're good. And that's the Zardo fight, all done. This is for another category, Legend Fragments. Now we just have the credit climb. Which time ends when I hit the door. And that's time. And that's TowerClimb. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate your consideration. Have a good day.